Good morning, children. Today we are going to learn the first lesson of English, chapter 1, the Cyclone. It's of standard 5. The author of this lesson is Lyman Frank Brown. He's a famous writer who has written many children's English books. Yes, students, do you know what is a cyclone? And what are the things we are supposed to do and not to do? Have you ever witnessed such kind of situation? Now, a cyclone is a storm in which the air moves in a circular manner. Now, when it occurs, if you are inside, stay indoors. But if you are outside, you have to move towards a sheltered building and switch off the light, fire, and water. Now, the story has the following characters: Dorothy, a small girl; Toto, her pet; Uncle Henry, a farmer; and Aunt Em, who is a housewife. So let's read the story, children. Open your book on page number 9, and the para goes like this. Toto made Dorothy laugh. Toto was not grey. He was a little black dog with long silky hair and small black eyes that twinkled merrily on either side of his funny little nose. Toto played all day long and they loved each other very dearly. Today, however, they were not playing. Uncle Henry, as usual, he sat upon the doorstep and he looked anxiously at the sky, which was even grayer than usual. Dorothy stood in the door with Toto in her arms and looked at the sky too. Aunt Emmy was washing the dishes in the kitchen. Now, what's the meaning of anxiously here, children? Very eagerly. From the far north, they heard a low wail of the wind, and Uncle Henry and Dorothy could see where the long grasses bowed in waves before the coming storm. What is a wail? Wail meaning is a high sound. There now came a sharp whistling in the air from the south, and as they turned their eyes that way, they saw ripples in the grass, and he called to his wife, and he ran toward the shed where the cows and horses were kept. Aunt Em dropped her work and came to the door. One glance told her of the danger close to her. She screamed. Dorothy, in her arms, Toto was there, and he jumped out and he hid under the bed, and the girl started to get him. Aunt Em, badly frightened, threw open the trapdoor in the floor and climbed down the ladder into the small dark hole. Now, what is a trapdoor, children? It is a door in the floor or roof that leads to another room. Dorothy caught Toto at last, and they both started to follow their aunt. You also know when something scary things happen at our home, also we follow our elders. The same thing our Toto and Dorothy also did. They also blindly followed their aunt. When she was halfway across the room, there came a great shriek from the wind, and the house shook so hard that she lost her footing and sat down suddenly upon the floor. Then a strange thing happened. Now you can see Dorothy was very frightened and very scary. She didn't know what was happening. The house whirled around 2 or 3 times and rose slowly up in the air. Dorothy felt as she was going up in a balloon. You can see the picture on page number 122, children, how the house is swaying up and down and right and left. What is the meaning of whirl, children? It is turned around in circles. Now, the north and the south winds met where the house stood and made it the exact corner of the cyclone. In the middle of a cyclone, the air is generally still. but the great pressure of the wind on every side of the house raised it higher and higher until it was at the very top of the cyclone. And there it remained and was carried miles and miles as easily you could as you carry a feather. It was very dark and the wind howled horribly around her, but Dorothy found she was riding quite easily. Now she has become calm and serene because she knows things are under control. Down or right and left. I hope you're listening, children, and the lesson is clear to you. Toto did not like it. He ran about the room, now here and now there, barking loudly. And animals, they become very scary when such situation arises. But Dorothy sat quite still on the floor and waited to see what would happen. Now she was under control. She felt that nothing serious is going to happen and everything is under control. Once Toto got to near that open trap door and fell in, and at first the little girl thought she had lost him. She was also worried that where is Toto, but finally she had a glance of him. But soon she saw one of his ears sticking up through the hole, for the strong pressure of the air was keeping him up so that he could not fall. She crept to the hole, caught Toto by the ear, and dragged him into the room again. Afterward, closing the trap door so that no more accidents could happen. Hour after hour passed away, and slowly Dorothy got over her fright. But she felt quite lonely, and the wind shrieked so loudly all about her. At first, she wondered if she could be dashed to pieces when the house fell again, but as the hours passed and nothing terrible happened, she stopped worrying and resolved to wait calmly and see what the future would bring. So she was stable now, content, and she was waiting. Everything is under control, and let me see what would come in the future. At last, she crawled over the sewing floor to her bed, lay down upon it, and Toto followed and lay down beside her. In spite of the swaying of the house and the wailing of the wind, Dorothy soon closed her eyes and they both of them fell asleep. I hope, children, you have understood the lesson. So read it 1 or 2 times thoroughly and underline the dictation words also. Now before that, let me read out the word meanings for you, children. Like grey, it's an American spelling of grey, Grey. Then we have wail, a long high sound made by the wind. Ripples, shapes or patterns that look like a wave. Afterward, closing the trapdoor so that no more accidents could happen. Hour after hour passed away, and slowly Dorothy got over her fright. But she felt quite lonely, and the wind shrieked so loudly all about her. At first, she wondered if she could be dashed to pieces when the house fell again, but as the hours passed and nothing terrible happened, she stopped worrying and resolved to wait calmly and see what the future would bring. So she was stable now, content, and she was waiting. Everything is under control, and let me see what would come in the future. At last, she crawled over the sewing floor to her bed, lay down upon it, and Toto followed and lay down beside her. In spite of the swaying of the house and the wailing of the wind, Dorothy soon closed her eyes and they both of them fell asleep. I hope, children, you have understood the lesson. So read it 1 or 2 times thoroughly and underline the dictation words also. Now before that, let me read out the word meanings for you, children. Like grey, it's an American spelling of grey, Grey. Then we have wail, a long high sound made by the wind. Ripples, shapes or patterns that look like a wave. Cyclone, a storm in which the air moves very fast in a circular manner. Stock, animals in a farm. Then we have cellar, an underground room where people can go to be safe during a storm. Trapdoor, a door in the floor or roof that leads to another room. World, turned around in circles. Center, American spelling of center. Howled, the wind blew hard and made a lot of noise. Pressure, the force of the winds around. Swaying, moving slowly from one side to another. So start working on this meanings and their words and their meanings and read the lesson once again, children. Tomorrow we shall update with more details of this lesson. Have a nice day.